friends, welcome to Developers Tube channel. My name is Ismail Saudagar and today we are going to discuss difference between constructor and methods in C#. So let us go to our topic. So before understanding the difference between constructor and methods, first we need to understand constructor and methods. You should have previous knowledge of constructor and methods. So let us discuss what is constructor in short and method also in short description so that we can easily understand the difference between the constructor and methods. So what is a constructor? It is a special method having same name as that of the class name in which it is present. So what it is saying, it has the same name, means suppose my class name is student, so constructor name will be student. The constructor can be parameterized and parameterless. So constructor can have parameters or constructor maybe without parameters. What is method? Method is a block of code and it can have any name. So any name we can give. Unlike the constructor will always have the same name as that of its class name, but method can have any name. So methods can have parameters or it cannot have parameters. So let us go to our next slide, which is difference between the constructor and methods. So this is my next slide. So here constructor is a special method having the same name as that of its class name. But method is a block of code and it can have any name. Constructor does not have any return type, means suppose I'm having one method, so it will return integer data, or it will return any float data, or it will return any string data. But constructor does not return any value and it does not have any return type. If a method does not return any value, then it in that case also it has a return type which is called as void. Constructor can be called at the time of creating a class object. Method can be called at any time when we need it. So it is saying that constructor can be called at the time of creating a class. Suppose I'm creating a class object, my class name is student and I'm creating object of the class by using the new keyword. So at that time constructor gets automatically called if there is no parameterized constructor in it. So method can be called at any time when we need it. Suppose in my method, I want to call a method which is already declared. So I can call it at any time in my code from any method in my code. But constructor gets called only at the start of creating the object. Constructor are used for creating the object of the class and initialize the variable of the class. And it can have some business logic in it, which gets executed at the time of creating the object of the class. Methods are used for performing an action and it has business logic in it. So it is saying that constructor are used for creating the object. When we want to create the object of the class, then constructor gets called and constructor is internally used. And generally what it does, it initializes, assigns the value to the variable. Suppose my class is having student name variable and roll number variable and percentage variable. So in that case, when an object is created, so default values is assigned if a user want to assign default value, or if parameterized constructor is there. So in that case, the supplied values will be assigned to the variables. Methods are used for performing action and has business logic. So methods are generally used for performing the some action like sending the email or adding the results or getting the roll number like this. So they perform some action and on the particular need, not unlike the constructor, which is only called at the start. At any point of time, we can call it and it performs some action. Constructor have public and private access specifier. So constructor can have access specifier, public and private, and any other also. Methods also have public and private access specifier. When no constructor is defined in the method, then at the time of creating the object of a class, implicit constructor gets called automatically. So it is saying that suppose I have not declared any constructor or defined any constructor, and in that case, what will happen? Implicit constructor automatically gets called by the compiler. It happens automatically. We did not need to write any code for calling the constructor. But unlike constructor, method cannot be called automatically. We need to call the method and we have to write the code inside our program. So in that case, only method gets called. Now let us see the example of the constructor and method. So this is my example and here I am showing the student class. So in this student class, I am having one method with name student. So this is actually our constructor and it is parameterless constructor. It does not have any parameter, and you can see here it does not have any return type. and the access specifier is public. So what it is doing, it is assigning default values to this variable x and y. So these x and y are the variables of this class student. So implicit constructor or parameterless constructor is assigning default values. On the other hand, you can see I'm having the method get roll number. So it is having the different name. The name of the class is student and get roll number is another than student. So, and it is having, you can see here integer return type, and our constructor does not have any return type. And here access specifier with public. So here what my method is doing, my method is creating one variable roll number, assigning 30 to it and returning the roll number from this code. So this is the example of constructor and method. Now let us see this example in our Visual Studio. As you can see here, this is my project constructor versus method. So in this project, I am having one class student, and in that student class, I have created one parameterless constructor, and this constructor is assigning 10 value to this x variable and 50 value to this variable, which is y variable. And here you can see I'm having method. The name of the method is get roll number. When this method will be called, so it is assigning roll number 30 to this roll number variable and returning the roll number. Now in my main method, I am creating the object of this student class, and the object name is s. And here you can see that what will happen when I will create the student object. At that time my constructor gets called, and the values 10 and 50 will be assigned in x and y variable respectively. And when I will call this get roll number, you can see I am explicitly calling, means it is not getting called by the compiler, because if it gets called by the compiler, then there will be no need to get means doing x dot get roll number code line I have to write there. So the method will not be called automatically. I'm calling here, and this method will return integer roll number, and I'm assigning that return roll number into my r number variable. And you can see that here that I'm printing the value of x on the console and value of y, and after that I'm printing my roll number. So what will happen if the constructor gets called? If our statement is true, then the value 10 in x will come and 50 will, and in y 50 will come, and if my method gets called, then 30 will be printed here. So now I will run this and we will see the output of it. As you can see here, value of x is 10 coming, means constructor is automatically called, and value of y is 50 is coming, means so constructor is working as expected, and roll number we are getting is 30. So it is proving that constructor is automatically gets called. So this is working as expected. Now I want to share something more on this constructor. Maybe if I will remove this, suppose I will not write this code and I will make it comment, in that case also implicit constructor will be called. Why? Because if we are not defining any constructor, we have said in our slide that compiler will automatically call the implicit constructor or parameterless constructor. So the difference will be here, x will have 0 value and y will have 0 value, because default value for integer is 0 and 0. So I will run this program again. So when I will run this, as you can see here, value of x is 0 and value of y is 0, and roll number is 30. It is because value of x is 0 coming because the default value for any integer in C# is 0, and default constructor gets called, and it is assigning default value that is 0 to x and default value of integer that is 0 to y. So at last, so this is my summary page, and today we have covered in this video methods versus constructor, that is difference between the two methods and constructor, and we have seen the example in Visual Studio. So in my next topic, we will cover dependency injection in C#. This is my next topic, and remember the viewers that I upload my video every weekend. If you want to learn about more topics related to C#, then click on the links provided at my screen. Thank you. Bye, and please subscribe to my channel.